This sort of rhetoric on the other side is why I'm never voting Democrat ever in my life. So I'm pointing out here, this is me commenting, of course, and I said I'm never voting for the Dems because they hate white men and they want to aid every other demographic except mine. So what I'm saying essentially is that why would I support a people group, not a people group, but a political party that wants to aid blacks, women, gays, etc. And I mean, if they want to make that their party standpoint, fine. But if you are, let's look at it like this: if you want to have a line, and you call it the progressive stack, you call it the progressive hierarchy, and you want to put black people, women, and gays in front of the line, and put me at the back of the line, I don't want to be put at the back of the bus, okay? People do not want to be disenfranchised and disincentivized from participating. You look at blacks, you look at gays or women, and they get special grants or privileges for colleges or employment. And that is fine if they want to do that. I don't like it personally, obviously. But you cannot expect me to vote for you when you are categorically going against my own interest. And that of my whole people group, right? And he points out you're never gonna get far unless you separate from that political belief, because people have incentives and people have reasons personally for voting for one party over the other. Women vote for the left overwhelmingly, even in the same income strata, even in the same race as white men. Like, you could have a sister, and she would be entirely politically different to you on an entirely different political aisle just because she's a woman. Like, you're raised in the same household, you have all the same material conditions, and the only thing that separates you from your sister is that she's your sister. She's female. White men lean overwhelmingly right-wing because the system makes that the most optimal position for us. And we can discuss flaws with Trump and the right wing as a whole. We could say he didn't fulfill his promises, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. But what's better, treat you as a second-class citizen Dem or broken promises Republican? And then this is me explaining incentive structures, right? Again, he says spite-driven. This is my problem. The Democratic Party, the people who are white liberals, white leftists, like this guy, who is a white liberal leftist, he will say, you're spiteful, you're ignorant, because you don't want to protect the protected classes against the people who hate them. And if you don't agree with me, you're a child. Where at the same time that he notions this, he notions that you're a child if you don't agree with him. You're a woman. You're not a real man if you disagree with him. But at the same time, this guy is being as spiteful towards me as apparently what I'm doing. I'm just saying, why don't we vote for people who are going to help us? And he's saying you're spiteful if you want to do that. And I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of, oh, you people will say, actually, I don't even think that this guy's in that camp, but I'm just pointing out that gender is biological. It doesn't matter on your prescriptions of male or men. You could say I'm not a real man, however you like. Any behavior I do, any action I do, I am a man. I'm an adult human male, which makes me a man. It's not dependent on my sociology or my behavior structure. I can act or be whoever I like in any context I want, and I will still be a man, and that will offend you forevermore. It's funny how these progressives will say, gender is entirely social. And they'll go, if you don't agree with me, you're literally a woman. Like, they're using woman in a negative context here. And at the same time, they will make their entire identity about helping women. If you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot, you're not a woman. I mean, you're not a man. Yeah. That's literally his argument. You're not a man if you don't shoot yourself in the foot. And I pointed out the hypocrisy. I'm like, why don't you say Jews aren't real Jews if they don't vote for Nazis? The only difference between these two examples is that he sees Jews as a protected class, which should be put at the front of the line behind and put me at the back, and that's the only difference. He's saying you're at the front of the line in the progressive hierarchy, and therefore you should sabotage yourself. The Jews aren't in the front of the line in the hierarchy in their perspective because they're oppressed, and therefore the Jews shouldn't have to advocate for their oppressors, whereas we should because we're at the back of the progressive stack. We're at the bottom. Their whole belief system is just oppression dynamics. That is their entire belief system. He didn't even say screw yourself over. He said your side is going to you're screwing over all of America and everyone in it because you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. So he's understanding here. He's smarter than most liberals. He's understanding here that the Democratic position is extremely anti-what I am. Anti-white male. Anti-straight white male. And the thing is that when you're doing this, you're giving ammo to the people who say that they don't want to vote for the left because it's against their personal interest. And you're essentially saying that doesn't matter. You're right, I understand your point, but it doesn't matter because women and blacks are going to get destroyed or they're going to have less rights or whatever. And it's like, okay, the blacks and the women, right? I'm not saying I hate them necessarily, but if they want white men to sacrifice for them, they want us to self-sabotage to help them, it has to go both ways. The problem is with this current fucking political environment is that white men are expected to shoot themselves in the foot and sacrifice for every people group except their own. And if they advocate for their own people group, they're racist, but any other group is allowed extreme supremacy and advocation of their own group. They are allowed to advocate for their own group at the most extreme examples possible. They are allowed to have the black KKK, essentially, and it's fine. White men do 1 ounce of that and we're called oppressing white supremacists. Even though I'm not saying necessarily white people should have supremacy over other races, just that we should help our own people out. And I don't think we should include women in the category of people we should help out, just other white straight men. Again, but the problem is people don't want to coalition build or do anything productive as a collective, and so we're just letting people kick us and not help it. Like, we will see white straight men get kicked down on the ground, beat up by, like, this actually happens though, like, literally so, and metaphorically so. We will see white men get beat up in the social spheres. We will see white straight men get beat up physically, like assaulted by multiple black people, just kicking them while they're down, and none of us step up. And so there's this problem of collectivization, and we are not collectivizing in the same way that these other groups are. And these other groups are getting more privileges in society because, get this, being an ant works. Being an ant works. Being part of the colony and contributing to other members of your colony is admirable. I love ants because of that. I want humans to be ants. I want humans to collectivize and help each other out in ways that might screw over the competition, but it helps out the colony. People need to be more ant-like instead of more fucking lone wolf-like. Lone wolf doesn't get you anywhere. Lone wolf gets you nowhere. Humans succeeded against other animals because we were tribal. We were more tribal than the other animals. I remember an atheist explaining this in a debate. He was essentially saying what made the humans more capable of survival is that when there was a weak member of our species who was getting beat up or getting attacked or trying to get eaten by the saber-tooth, instead of leaving that animal behind, the primitive cave people went back and said, "Get the fuck away from our tribe, mate. We will kill you, Sabertooth. Get back." And that is what made humans succeed. And I think that is an admirable virtue. A virtue that he's saying we shouldn't have. We should sacrifice for the out-group and screw the in-group. I don't think that's how we should operate. I think valuing America as a collective and helping America works, but it needs to be contributive. We need all people to be ready to contribute equally to the American cause. We can't have a bunch of antisocial white straight men haters who make their whole life seeing us as a metaphorical dragon we slayed, and then the dragon needing to side with the knight that wants to cut his throat. Again, he's pointing out, just die for the Democrats while they laugh at your death. This is why the Democrats will never win. They cannot provide incentive for us to vote for them. Literally. This is why Democrats lost white men. Instead of changing your party to suit us and what we want, you would rather expect us to vote for you, because if we don't, we are not men. God forbid you make policy or social prescription to help men, but I guess browbeating just works better. That's why you won 2025, right? And I'm gonna go down more, because I'm done with this. Where was it? Ideally, if the election comes around, we can get a white identitarian or Groyper adjacent candidate rather than a rhino, manga, or neocon. I'm not for manga, I'm farther right than that. I hope manga loses to somebody more farther right. I'd take 1 billion more broken promises Republicans over second-class citizen status under the Dems. So I'm directly pointing out to this guy that I'm not manga. I'm more of a Groyper. I'm more of a right-wing extremist type. And he's responding that Trump is your cult leader. Your cult leader. I'm directly saying I'm opposed to Trump, and he's going, that's your cult leader. So you can't reason with Dems. You tell them I'm not a rhino neocon. I want more right-wing politics. I want more immigration. I want more immigration restrictions. I want less immigration into the country. I want less identitarian benefits for these particular social groups. And I want more focus on helping white straight men. And I think Trump isn't doing that. So I'm not like a Trump loyalist. I understand he has flaws, and I'm willing to point those out. And I'm willing to be charitable and partial to certain things. But these people here in these comments, they are not willing to have any amount of good faith discussion. I even said I'm willing to vote for someone who isn't, manga, and I would prefer someone who isn't manga, but they're saying I'm a manga loyalist. I'm not a manga loyalist. Trump should have released the Epstein files, but he didn't because he was involved in them. The far right were the ones who were advocating for the release of the Epstein files originally. It wasn't the mainstream rhino neocon right. Let me remind you of that.